Hello everyone, and welcome to a quick introduction of the Zerolag Oscillator for NinjaTrader 8. We are really excited to share this with you today. It's been a while in the making and is now available from the premium section over at LizardIndicators.com. All right, so the Zerolag Oscillator is a MACD type momentum oscillator based on two zero-lagging moving averages. The design of the indicator follows two main ideas, namely to establish the major and intermediate trend bias, and then look for short-term pullbacks into the trend, and then enter at the confirmation or the continuation of the trend. The benefit of this approach is that we are able to locate potentially low risk and high reward trade setups. So we have three types of signals. First, the momentum signals, when there's a breakout from the previous area of consolidation. And then we have two types of pullback signals, namely key retracements and secondary retracements. And the risk-reward ratio for these pullbacks entries are quite interesting, as the risk is defined by the pullback high or low level. And if that level breaks, then our stop loss is in place. So let's have a look at how we do this. Here we see a green zero line to start off with here, and that is showing us the major trend in this example being up. Also, the histogram values here, the midterm perspective, has to be aligned with the major. And so the first trigger that plots here is a momentum signal, M for momentum. And that occurs when the histogram values cross above the zero line. And a momentum requirement can be also breaking the area of the consolidation here. So you see this momentum bar is taking out the highest high of the previous N bars here. And you can also see that this has a quite healthy range, this momentum signal here. And so those are some new filters that you can select. Then later on here, we see retracement signals start plotting here. This one here is the first pullback, so it's the key retracement, generally the one that sees the highest probability. And the setup here is the white bar, and it's showing us a short-term oversold. And when buyers are taking advantage of these short-term lower prices, then we have a trend confirmation here. We can see that here in the histogram value, you see that this signal bar is higher than the setup bar. And you can also activate an additional filter here in the price panel to state that you also want to see the upthrust bar with a close above the high of the setup bar. So price action is really showing us some aggressive buying is taking place here. Later on, as I said, we also see secondary retracement signals here. Same story. We have a short-term oversold here. These white bars are showing us that. And then we have a confirmation from a higher bar, the lime green bar here, showing us that buyers are coming back into it. Again, this is a thrust bar as well, with a close above the high of the setup bar. And then we have a last retracement signal back here as well. So in terms of risk management for the retracement signals, you would set the stop below the low of the setup bar or the low of the signal bar, whichever is the lowest. One important feature that you also will want to be aware of with the Zerolag Oscillator is that we have the oversold and overbought thresholds. And you see those here and here. So the first threshold here is to prevent you to get into a trend that is too far advanced. And you see here we're just below the 3-level late bull entry that we see here. And then the exhaustion level here is trend exhaustion level, is to prevent us from getting into any trends that are likely to have overextended, eliminating signals that are likely to plot over the hill. So just as an example here, I've scaled these thresholds back to 1.5 here. You see the threshold is here at 1.5. And now these signals that we showed earlier, they have been eliminated by this threshold. So you see this signal here was plotting above the threshold, as well as this one was. And I think the last signal, the last retracement signal was this one here. And that too is above the 1.5 threshold. So you see also we have added the option to define the stochastics oversold and overbought levels. Those are set by default to 40-60. The default look back period is 144 for the oscillator. And so you need a training period for this indicator of about 3 times that in order for the normalization of the histogram values to take place. So in total here, you have a required look back period of the chart of 432 bars in order for the Zerolag oscillator to plot. This is the short perspective. We see the zero line here is red. We see the histogram values are breaking to the downside here, and that we have an alignment of the long-term and the intermediate. We have the first momentum signal plotting here. A significant breakout from the previous area of consolidation has taken place. It's a significant range. Maybe the range is a little bit too big on this. You can also say that you want a max range for the momentum bars. And then we see these retracements start plotting here. Again, the key retracement is the first retracement into the new trend. Here we have a overbought into the new downtrend signaled by these yellow bars. And then we have confirmation on this bar here. Sellers are taking advantage of these short-term higher prices in the new trend. And then we have a secondary retracement signal over here. Again, same story. We have a couple of setup bars, yellow setup bars in the downtrend. And then we have confirmation both in the form of a lower histogram value here, as well as this being a thrust bar with a close below the low of the setup bar. And then we see here there is a momentum fall off. There is no one really taking advantage of these short-term higher prices here. So we get these late retracement signals here. And so we've created some additional filters for those situations. Specifically, we have a momentum filter now and a divergence filter to take care of signals that come after a period of weakness in the trend. And that's what we see here. So by activating these two options, we get rid of these 2 late entries. And we're just going to look at a couple of additional filters that we have created for this update. So we have, as I mentioned, also a thrust bar filter that will require a signal bar to also close above or below the setup bar. We have a weak signals filter, which will remove secondary retracement signals that do not meet the overbought and oversold requirement. And finally, we have a supply and demand filter, which is designed to eliminate setups where market participants do not take advantage of these short-term corrections. Here, for example, there is no renewed selling pressure after these 3 setup bars, and therefore we start seeing these black and gray bars. Supply and demand filter kicking in and invalidating any confirmations. It's just taken too long for the sellers to take advantage of this, a potential weakness in the trend or even a trend change. Finally, we have also added the efficiency ratio as a trend filter to this update. So if you choose that, you can also activate a chop filter that removes signals that plot in a presumed sideways market. So here we have an example of that. You see this is not a green zero line, it's cream colored. And so that is a neutral trend. So in this case, by activating the chop filter here, we will get rid of this failed secondary retracement signal. And you see now that's disappeared up here. All right, so I think that will do for the first introduction to the Zerolag Oscillator for NinjaTrader 8. I've covered the most important functions and filter possibilities here. Of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. There is a contact form. You can also drop me a line at info@LizardIndicators.com. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. In the meantime, take care and bye-bye.